All right, everyone. I got the family, the dog. I got everybody with me right now. We are heading over to CJ's Aquariums to do a surprise inspection of the chicken feet. Are you guys ready? Can you dig it?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Well, obviously, this is not my tank. This is the chicken foot tank. So, obviously, we're down here at CJ's Aquariums shooting his tank and, just trying to capture, see exactly what kind of competition I'm going to have in store for myself. But to be honest, I'm actually quite impressed. So, CJ, why don't you tell us what you got going on here? As a matter of fact, why don't you get into detail of why did you pick this tank in the first place?
All right, I'll tell you what. Before we get going, you guys know when he walked in here, he got a little nervous. So we're going to go ahead and explain to him why he ain't got a chance in the challenge.
Okay, well, go ahead. Show us.
But seriously, man, this tank, all-in-ones, is definitely the way to go if you want quick, easy setup, convenience. And with me, knowing I may be potentially moving in the near future, I wanted to make sure I had a tank the size that was easy to move and a tank that did not require as much trouble to move. So when I made the skate, it was modular. I know I can take it out of the tank very easily, fit it in brute cans, pick up this tank without to worry about plumbing, anything like that. So it definitely is something to consider if you're thinking about picking your tank. Now, is this the biggest all-in-one I would do? Definitely. Now, the ones that watched a video I did before saying the 45-gallon was the biggest, I changed my mind. I would say 65 is probably the biggest because all of the equipment I'm needing to run this tank still fits inside the tank. So just kind of putting that out there. But ultimately, guys, the JBJ 65 all-in-one is an awesome tank. It looks really good. I really am digging the design. The flat panels, the rear sump area is awesome, and the stand is awesome. So definitely a good win.
So with that being said, why don't you point out how did you what inspired you to do the aquascape this way?
Man, to be honest, I wanted to go back with the old school way I did it, which always featured two main pillars with something interconnecting them. But I didn't have enough rock. In full honesty, I just didn't have enough rock to pull that off. So I had to start improvising. The first two times I had to try to put the rock together, it didn't work out. I ended up turning it down, setting down, sipping some of the Be Easy sauce. And then I went ahead and started putting it together. I thought, hey, what if I can put some archways in? What if I can interconnect the skate with shelves and overhangs? And knowing that I was using that Aquaforce stone fix really gave me unlimited, ways of putting this together. Because I didn't have to rely on balancing the rock. I wanted to make sure that it was flow friendly. I wanted to make sure I had swim throughs because I love having areas for the fish to actually swim in, through, and behind the skate. And I wanted to make sure I had areas to where I can place SPS corals, softies, LPS, because I knew this was going to be a mixed reef. So when I make a skate, I try to consider multiple things. The livestock I'm keeping, the type of flow I'm going to have, the kind of corals I want to keep, and ultimately, guys, the aesthetic value of it. So, it's a lot that goes into it, but it definitely came together a little different than I ever really would have imagined. But I think this may be the best work yet. So more to come on that.
All right. Well, let's get in a different position so you can kind of point out some of your equipment, why you chose the equipment, and we'll get more back into the kind of coral you're thinking about putting into this aquarium. All right, now CJ, we're in front of your tank, man. So we already talked about some possibilities of coral. Why don't you go ahead and dig in that and let us know what exactly corals you're deciding to put in this? What's your ideas?
Well, to be honest, the plan is to let the tank kind of dictate to me what I'm going to do. So, you know, according to how the flow's running in the tank, according to how the lighting is going to hit, I have a par meter. I actually have not tested the par on the tank yet and tuned the lights yet. But from what I can look at, I fully expect to be able to put SPS corals along the top areas of the tank, high flow, high light, and in some of the cubby holes and some of the lower flow areas. That's where I'm going to sneak in my LPS corals, kind of in here, or in here, or in there, and then mix in some of my leathers or some of my soft corals in different areas as well. So it's going to be a mixed reef. I'm thinking it may be 60-40, 40% SPS in the higher areas, then different corals in the lower areas. Now, one thing I don't do, a lot of people may not realize this or not, but I try to avoid corals on my sand bed. For me personally, I like to have all the corals on the scape and let the sand be the sand for a few reasons. The first one, for maintenance and being able to have freedom of stirring up their entire sand bed without moving corals or without the chance of a burrowing wrasse to knock over something. So all those things are, you know, it's just things I do. But yeah, other than that, I'm about to go with it. You know, corals availability is another thing.
Right. Well, I also noticed the sand here. What type of sand is this?
This is the Tropic Eden Reef Flakes. It's the 3 millimeter grain size. And as you can see, it's there, but it's not too big and it's not too small. Jar flow does not move this sand at all. I can crank these jars to 100%. It's small enough for sand sifting gobies to move around. It's small enough for wrasses to bury themselves, and it's perfect. I think this is the perfect grain size if you want something that's not too big and not too small.
So also you mentioned about 40% maybe SPS up in this area. What about these branching, the Tonga branching, the you know?
To be honest, I'm not really 100% sure, but I know what I don't want to do is take away the uniqueness of the scape, meaning I don't want to have things that are going to branch out on those Tonga branches.
Right, yeah.
I want something that's going to encrust on them. Now, the only thing is, encrusting doesn't stop. So whatever I put on them, eventually, is going to make its way down to my scape. So my thought is maybe some kind of Sophastria.
I'm thinking like maybe burn banana, because it's going to give you that yellow and red. It's really going to look nice. Something, you know, maybe that whole piece, like you need something really nice that's really going to stand out, and it's just going to be crazy colors right there.
Yeah.
But I do get your point. I mean, this is kind of high to the top of the water here, so the branching stuff is really probably not going to be the best suited for this position here of your branch. So down in here now, I do see this plate that you got this overhang here, and it's kind of got a divot, and you're kind of probably wondering what you're going to put there. Huh?
Yeah, honestly, that is the biggest question mark, man, because when I was purging this rock, I noticed where the low flow areas were. And one of them was on this plate. Now, of course, I hadn't gotten my flow figured out yet. There are ways to manipulate the flow to where there's downspouts and downward flow where the water intersects. So I know there's ways of me getting water down there, but ultimately that is going to be kind of a lower flow area. So not sure. I'm thinking it definitely rules out SPS corals on that. I'm thinking maybe some kind of acan garden, or maybe some more Euphilia or something. That part, that's going to be an area I don't
think
really
maybe
know.
some acans would definitely work out. But even with that being said, in the divot area, maybe some acans, you still have the whole lip in this mid-range of aquascape that you could put SPS corals.
That's a good idea on the front. Right?
Yeah, in the front, you know, just, you know, couple here, and you'll get the, you know, it's going to branch up, and then you'll get the color of the acans behind it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's an idea. That's an idea. That part I'm completely open-minded to. I'm really not 100% sure. You know what? It's hard to be 100% sure about anything.
Right, until you start putting stuff in there.
Until you start putting stuff in there, and then, you know, I got availability things I got to consider as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We don't have as many corals down here as you all have up in Ohio.
Well, you know, that sounds like you got a little hate in your voice there.
Listen, a little salt,
little salt water going on here. So before we end this first half of this video, because I think this video is going to be kind of long. We still got to go over some equipment and stuff like that. One other thing I want to point out, and I'm going to add it to this video here, is that the gyres, you got 2 gyres, I believe those are the 330s.
Yeah, the gyres.
First off, how do you like those?
Awesome. Man, I've used all 3 series of them. The 100 series, the 200 series, the 300 series. They have finally fixed the gyres. 100% sound. Could you hear them when you walked in?
No.
Nothing.
Not at all.
Nothing at all. No sound. They have the flow directors on them. The only thing I would say, they seem like they got a little less punch as far as power, but it's still plenty of flow. So anyone that's thinking about the gyres, man, if you had concerns as far as this noise or any of that, forget about that. That's fixed. But I would say if you're wanting maximum flow, go bigger on the gyre than smaller.
Well, with that also being said, you do have one on each side. Have you considered just utilizing one for your agitation for the top of the water, and maybe tucking one, what do you want to call it, vertical?
Vertical on the back.
On the back, since you got it, yeah, because you got room back there. You got it away from the wall, you know, so you can get that good flow all the way around. So you kind of mix it up with, you know, maybe one gyre there, this one taking that, and then you also got 2 return pumps that is shooting to the front of the glass.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. You know what? Flow with me is something I always like to play with, and nothing's off the table. Nothing's off the table. Now, the reason I had them up here, because this is just normally the best location for them. You know, across the top, and it allows me to create variable flow. It allows me to create my rolling standing wave like I had in the 120, to where you get a wave in your tank, but you manipulate the power to where this one's running at 90, this one's running at 10. They intersect. The intersection point, even though the tank's rocking, creates downward flow, and as the day goes, I'll have it roll left to right, and that allows me to really completely manipulate it. Now, the flow across the back and the, you know, circular flow around the tank, had an idea that I'm still kind of playing around with it. Actually, you mentioned this to me about putting the bulkheads in the return section. My thought was this: bulkheads there, getting some black PVC, some elbows,
or lock line.
Lock line. Well, not really lock line, because I want it to be
You want it to hug.
Yeah, I want it to hug the back wall straight down, and then have 90s going left and right, and letting the return pumps handling the flow around the tank. That's something I've really been wrapping my mind around.
Well, you know, this is the challenge of the 65, right? I mean, but it's also about learning, right?
Yeah.
So it's also giving people different ideas on how to approach these type of tanks. You're doing things a little bit different than I'm going to do it, so they gives them plenty of options out there. And I don't know, is that something? Where's your mindset on that?
I'm seriously thinking of doing it, man. I mean, I got the upgraded nozzles, but I know in the future those nozzles are going to be in the way when corals start growing upwards. Yeah. So my thought is, in the future, those ain't going to work long term. I want to be able to use the return pumps to help handle the flow along the back wall of the tank and the lower area of the tank to kind of complement what the gyres are doing. I'm seriously probably going to make it happen. That's probably what's going to happen.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, and it's going to be black PVC. You won't see it.
You won't see it,
it won't be nothing. I may even do it to where instead of 90s, there's spray bars on the bottom pushing flow this way along the tank. I mean, I'd be interested
to see what you come up with.
Yeah, so.
Well, thanks. I think we're going to stop the video here. So if you guys want to see part 2 of this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. CJ, you got any final thoughts and words before we leave?
Man, this is awesome. One other thing I want to make sure I don't forget to mention: the scape's raised, guys. The scape is actually setting up, and if you look, you can see to where there's space where sand is kind of getting pushed up in there, but there's literally
but it's
spaces between where the scape and the sand is. It's literally a little gap that allows
the flow.
The flow can get underneath the scape. So when I do that change to the return pumps, that flow is going to be available.
Did you do a video on that?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll link the link to that video in the description of this part, so people can go check that out and see how exactly you did that.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I didn't forget to mention that, because the whole point of doing that was the flow.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, awesome, man. So once again, guys, if you guys this channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for part 2.